Soccer, samba, and the Summer Olympics. That's what you think of when you think of Brazil. But lately, it's more like Zika, recession, and a political crisis that could have the president impeached before the Summer Games even begin. Millions of people have hit the streets, demanding President Dilma Rousseff's impeachment, and proceedings have already begun. Many believe she's linked to the biggest corruption scandal in the country, centered around the state-owned oil company Petrobras. Basically, people received kickbacks in exchange for contracts. Even though Dilma hasn't been formally charged, members of her party, the moderate Left Workers' Party, have been, including former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Dilma actually nominated Lula as chief of staff, some say to protect him from prosecution. Ouch. But the political crisis runs deeper than Dilma. After all, 353 officials from all parties are facing corruption and criminal charges. But you wouldn't know that by reading the headlines. Brazil versus the president is a common slogan being pushed by mainstream Brazilian media. They focused selectively on Dilma's party and left other problems behind. It's led some to accuse the media of inciting a coup. And if you look at who runs major news outlets, it's not hard to see how their agenda has clashed with the Workers' Party. There are 5 families who own 70% of Brazil's mainstream media. They've been part of the country's wealthy and ruling elite for decades and are linked to the military dictatorship that took over after a coup in 1964. Brazil was run by a dictatorship for 21 years that restricted freedom of speech and political opposition. Both Dilma and Lula were political prisoners during that time. Then there's the role of the courts in all of this. The lead investigator in the Petrobras scandal, Judge Sergio Moro, hasn't exactly played an impartial role. Recently, he leaked a tapped phone call between Dilma and Lula. In the call, Dilma refers to a document appointing Lula as chief of staff, saying he should, quote, use it in case of necessity. Some say it's damning evidence. Others question Moro's leaking of the recording without due process. And another judge recently put an injunction on Lula's appointment as chief of staff, a guy who was also seen taking selfies at an anti-government rally. One thing to remember is that Brazil is a country with major economic inequality. Political preference tends to fall along class and racial lines. That could be why the majority of protesters demanding Dilma's departure are both whiter and wealthier. This photo of a protesting couple with their dog and nanny has gone viral. It's perhaps emblematic of the political divide. Dilma's Workers' Party has focused mostly on helping the poor. Their welfare programs helped 23 million Brazilians out of poverty within 10 years. But lately, it's not just the media and conservatives who are fed up with the ruling party. Many critique Dilma from the left, angry at the recently passed anti-terrorism law and massive overspending on things like the World Cup. So should Dilma be impeached? And who would take her place if she is? The vice president, who belongs to a different party, is also under scrutiny for corruption. And the guy below him has been charged with accepting $40 million worth of bribes. So between that and the questionable actions of high-level judges, what's actually at stake in Brazil? Maybe democracy itself.